What happens? Are you prepared for this? We're going to talk about the big outage today. This is a Truth Hurts where we expose corrupt politicians and the lying corporate media. We're broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota in the belly of the beast. Why do you care about Minnesota politics? Well, let's just put it this way. The corrupt Democrat Party has taken over our state government, and we're not a blue state. I mean, people think, because they don't vote in a Republican for presidential elections that we're a blue state. We're not a blue state. We're a purple, maybe even slightly red state. So the Democrats came and took over Minnesota. It should be a concern to everyone. So we'll get into the stories of what they're going to do here with lead ammunition. This is a crazy bill. Some other things here. Nikki Haley's in town. Yep. Joining me today is MAGA Jesse. How you doing there, buddy?
Doing good. Yeah, we got a lot of good stories to get into, from this AT&T network going down to a potential Chinese cyber attack. We've seen pharmacies hit with another cyber attack. Like you said, Nikki Haley, Nimrata Haley in Minnesota, and the Democrats want to now ban lead ammo. So it's just one thing after another. They always find a new thing to regulate.
Jesse will be reading your comments. If you want to interrupt us anytime, hit a Rumble rant, which you can again on your phone, I believe. I think everyone is back up, but we're going to talk about why this might have happened. The person behind the cyber attack, of course, was Deep State Dawson. How you doing there, buddy?
I'm doing good. My attack went flawlessly. AT&T is now getting so much negative press that it's putting up Google numbers. I like it.
Yeah, we don't believe for a second it's China. It's the Deep State. That's who's doing it. What's that? What was that? You flexing on camera here?
Yeah.
I'm talking, and you keep the camera on you so you can flex? Well, what kind of show is going on here?
My flex is being able to take down AT&T servers.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, I've noticed you wearing a blue tank top, by the way. You got your AT&T colors on.
Darn straight.
Make sure you like and hit subscribe if you're watching this show as well. I'm forgetting some. Oh, advertisers. Wow, gee, first time here. Thank you to Alpine Cabinetry in St. Cloud, Minnesota for sponsoring this show. And also our wonderful sponsor and real estate agent. If you need a good real estate agent, I'm going to tell you firsthand, great agent for myself. Got us in the right home. Give Warren Wessel a call, which you can do now. And I think Warren can take your calls because Cellular technology is back up, 612-419-7453. A lot of people probably trying to call Warren Wessel this morning, and he couldn't take the calls when AT&T's network went down. You can call him now, 612-419-7453. It's Warren Wessel of Warren Wessel Realty. T-Wall, hello to you, and hello to Alley Cat. I see you guys.
Yep, I'm seeing Tucker, Hate Minnesota, Odd One, Brad Ganser, Alley Cat, and T-Wall for life all in the chat here. So yeah, thanks for being here, guys.
So what happens here, Dustin? Do I just find the earliest comments? Am I way behind on this?
There's about 4 comments above that. So
which means what does that mean? Are those earlier?
Those are the most recent.
Those are most recent. Okay, That's probably what matters the most. Probably should know this on my own show. Okay, so I don't know about you guys. All right, I start out the day and my phone says SOS on it, and this is in the 5 o'clock hour. Okay, I just assume something temporarily is down, right? Did I go to the gym before investigating? I think I went to the gym. I don't think I investigated beforehand. And quite frankly, it just didn't really come to my attention that anything was going on, missing a call or anything like that to and from the gym. And then I start getting the information that this isn't just me. Okay. So my phone literally SOS mode, as you know, the cell tower, which I think just means, what does that mean, Dustin? You can call 911. Is that what it means? Yeah. Which I don't know if I could even do that, right? All right, so it goes down, and some news outlets are reporting this is nationwide, and it's all the carriers. We now know that it was basically just AT&T's network. The other carriers like Cricket, which I think is a subsidiary of AT&T, and then in spots where Verizon or T-Mobile need to get on board, they were having those problems. And I want you to monitor this comment section because I'm curious what people are seeing themselves as well. So we put on Twitter, we were getting reports. I know a lot of people in the West Metro of the Twin Cities, AT&T mobile hotspots, 5G phones, no issues. We got Tucker. I think Tucker from southern Minnesota said that he was down today. And I'm over in the East Metro. So it seems bizarre. It's very spotty. Pull up that map, Dawson. This is the map of the United States and where the major outages were reported. So you can see it's pretty widespread. Montana and Idaho, I guess no one was up yet. What was going on in Idaho there, Jesse?
Yeah, I don't know.
And for what it's worth, I guess Nebraska and South Dakota too, right? Brad Ganser says solar flares can not only create shifting climates, it can take out cellular networks. So let's go right here. This is a story. I have no idea what local outfit this was. Not Twin Cities outlet, but was forewarned. Was it? I don't even know the station. CBS 4. I don't know. What is it?
That's pretty cool. If that's like Channel 4 or whatever local news.
Well, it's not our local news. It's not Channel 4, which would be CBS. Anyhow, go ahead and play that there, Dawson.
Morning, Oklahoma. Maybe you're looking at your phone and it's saying SOS. What's going on? My husband had that this morning and he's freaking out. And I was like, did you do your phone updates? No, this is all happening at 3 a.m. So we did that. Coming to work. He's not the only one, guys. If you're experiencing that, it may be a result of space weather. Okay, I'm going to do my best to explain what's going on. Let's go ahead and take a look. So there was a strong solar flare event that happened just after midnight, and they actually captured an image of it right here, okay? I had to look up this scale. I wish I knew everything about space weather. That's a whole different specialty. But R3, that's for radio communications. It's on a scale of 1 to 5, and 3 is pretty bad. That means it impacts radio communications for a few hours after this happens. And so right now that could be impacting some of our technology. And sadly, we're entering a solar maximum where we're going to see more and more solar storms, solar flares. And it's never happened in this time of human history where we're relying on technology like we have never before. So interesting time. Hopefully they'll fix it. But the good news is, at least when you're on Wi-Fi, you should be able to still text and call people, right? But there is an effect on radio. It peaked right after midnight. And there you go. A flare is an eruption of energy. You have these electromagnetic waves shooting towards the Earth at the speed of light. So it's almost immediate impact on the light side of Earth where the sun lights up. And so there you have it. We'll see. The ionosphere is protecting us from all this stuff, but it can interrupt radio communications.
Okay, so possibly a solar flare, which would wreak havoc on our electrical infrastructure. A big solar flare could wipe us completely out. Similar, like a nuclear bomb up in the atmosphere would have a similar impact on us.
Oh.
What's that?
I was looking up wherever that's from, and that's from Oklahoma.
Yeah, she said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the comment section here? I want to get reports from our audience here.
Yeah, I'm seeing MT Anderson. One said, my phone never lost service, and I happened to be in Minnesota at a hotel in Shoreview.
You're in Minnesota right now? Jeez, Mark.
Let's see.
I always assume he's down in Florida when actually the weather's nice up here again.
Yep, and Brad Ganser's solar flares can not only create shifting climates, it can take out cellular networks.
Give me, yeah, I know, but
Billy22 says Northwest Minnesota. I lost cell service this morning. Back up now, AT&T.
Okay, so Northwest Minnesota.
Alley Cat says,
hold on one second. I assume when you say Northwest Minnesota, you're talking about like Bemidji and north, or at least Brainerd and north and northwest, maybe up Detroit Lakes or Thief River Falls.
Heck yeah.
And let's see. Alley Cat 62 says, I'm in Coon Rapids. My phone was fine. Razzle Dazzle says, test by Chinese. Let's see. And JM Teddy says, no phone trouble. MTKA.
Yeah, and I would really be curious. Oh, East Grand Forks. So Billy's from East Grand Forks. So we're really up there northwestern Minnesota. Yeah, and I'm over in the East Metro, Tucker's South Minnesota. So, the three of us. But, a lot of people on the AT&T network, no problem. Right? Now, if this was a solar flare, I don't think that makes sense. Can you make any... You're the tech guy around here, Dawson.
Yeah, I don't think it's a solar flare. One of the things I said to Jake was, it's probably just some idiot doing their job wrong, or something just goes wrong on a server, nothing crazy. Because if it was a solar flare, you'd expect every single carrier to be having those same issues, because the solar flare isn't targeting AT&T. Well, I wish it did, but it doesn't. And so I think it's just Occam's razor. Someone just messed up something.
I don't know about that, but we're going to get some other explanations. What's
Yeah, and
this one?
Gregory Eno 29 says, I'm AT&T, live in Arden Hills, work in South St. Paul. My phone has worked all day. Our IT did put out some messages about it, so there must be some issues in the South St. Paul area.
Okay.
So yeah, it does sound like it's hidden several different people all around.
It's interesting, and we'll still want your guys' comments if you can. I'm curious about people on the AT&T network. It seems like it was isolated to that, or if you're using another network. Even if your carrier is someone different, but you had to use AT&T network, it seems like it affected them. Let's go to God, where'd my show notes go here? Oh, so this GIF. This is why this is an issue, right? Me after seeing my final text to leave my Wi-Fi riddled home to run errands on AT&T's American Oregon Trail Provider wireless network.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that, but that's really what's going on here. Yeah, I like more or less why only AT&T if a solar flare. I mean, maybe it was positioned geographically where there's a main hub.
Where
It
their
doesn't make sense,
satellite
though.
was or something.
Yeah, but it
right.
doesn't make sense why then it's not nationwide, right?
Yeah.
Well, when I say nationwide, it's nationwide in the sense that it spans across the nation, but it's not. See, I think I lean more towards it's maybe a certain kind of phone.
See, it wasn't even all AT&T users that are experiencing
Right.
the problem. So AT&T satellite didn't go out because then everybody who's on AT&T would be like, I can't use my phone. And then AT&T would be much, much more active on solving the problem, I think, versus this one where if it's, I don't know, whatever happened, it's probably not that big of a deal.
Or it's why do you keep downplaying this thing?
So that you can play it up.
No,
Come
okay, I
on.
got you. I see the part. I see the party's trying to play now. Okay, got it.
Cue you up.
Let's go to this. So, just a couple days, this Wall Street Journal, Christopher Ray, sorry, not Rye, Ray. Say what you will about the FBI director, okay? But he has been warning recently about Chinese cyber attacks, and this is him. Do we have sound? Let's go to the sound on this one here, Dawson.
Come on. It's loading.
Uh-oh. The internet's down
China's
now.
multi-pronged assault on our national and economic security make it the defining threat of our generation. There has been far too little public focus on the fact that PRC hackers are targeting our critical infrastructure, our water treatment plants, our electrical grid, our oil and natural gas pipelines, our transportation systems, and the risk that poses to every American requires our attention now. China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if and when China decides the time has come to strike. To quantify what we're up against, the PRC has a bigger hacking program than that of every major nation combined. In fact, if you took every single one of the FBI cyber agents and intelligence analysts and focused them exclusively on the China threat, China's hackers would still outnumber FBI cyber personnel by at least 50 to 1. I do not want those watching today to think we can't protect ourselves. But I do want the American people to know that we cannot afford to sleep on this danger.
Well, at least we don't have to worry because Chinese are way across the ocean, far, far away. It's not like they're invading our U.S.-Mexican border at
Did
all.
he say 50 to 1?
50 to 1.
5-0?
Yeah, that's a nice little pitch for why we need more funding, right?
Oh, exactly. But yeah, I mean, that is honestly nuts. And we all know about how, the Chinese are stealing intellectual property, how they're spying on us, how they're, how they own all these different apps, especially TikTok, that they're able to get all of our personal information off of. So it comes as no surprise to me that that's a huge industry in China is stealing our intellectual property. So, it is definitely something to be aware of. And, I never know fully or not to probably not trust Christopher Ray. Just because there's so many problems with him. He's totally just establishment puppet who's in there for. It doesn't matter who the president is; he's always going to be the same exact guy doing the same exact thing.
What did you think about all that racism and Asian hate that he was portraying there? That's crazy, isn't it? So I see some people talking about satellite phones. We're going to get into that, talking about alternate communication devices. You know, any preppers out there? Anyone else want to admit to being a prepper like me? Okay, we'll talk about why this is important. Go to this article here. This is on Fox Business. Pharmacies nationwide report outages during the wake of cyber attack. So it's not just AT&T. And by the way, I know it's just one network, but one of the largest, the second largest, I believe. AT&T is massive. Pharmacies across the country are reporting delays to prescription orders due to a cyber attack against one of the nation's largest healthcare technology companies. Change Healthcare, a company handling orders and patient payments throughout the U.S., first noticed a cyber attack issue affecting its networks Wednesday morning on the East Coast. Oh, what is this, yesterday?
Yeah.
It's Thursday today.
It's the 22nd.
Well, are they just recycling this from the day before? Did not report on it the day before? Where the outside threat on Wednesday morning disconnecting this. This is literally on Fox's main page. Whatever. It's still tied to it, right? Or actually, sorry about that. It could be tied to it. I don't know, right? It is interesting that this is happening at the same relative period of time. Honestly, I don't think I'd read that third paragraph. I had thought this was actually today. So it started yesterday. Change Healthcare is experiencing a network interruption related to a cybersecurity issue, and our experts are working to address the matter. Once we became aware of the outside threat in the interest of protecting our partners and patients, we took immediate action to disconnect our systems to prevent further impact. Change Healthcare said in a statement. Okay, I don't know if we're going to get to the bottom of that and AT&T's network problem today. So, in Dawson, you keep an eye on the news. I got a guy in the mobile cellular mobile device engineering space. I don't know what he even does for a living. So he's going to update me if he gets some more stuff. But quite frankly, we might not get to the bottom of it today. There's a lot of liars. You're right, Christopher Wray. How much do you really trust this guy? But he has been warning about Chinese security problems here.
Right.
And there are a lot of Chinese coming across the U.S.-Mexican border to the point where even 60 Minutes has to do a segment on it.
Right. Yeah, what was the number? I just heard that 60,000, 70,000, something like that. Chinese citizens have come into our country. They're buying all this land. They're, there's all kinds of problems happening at the border. And, especially, when you think about the border, you think people coming from Mexico. You think people coming from South America. What about China? They're coming through the border, too, because it's open.
And the Middle East.
In the Middle East, everywhere.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, big problem. All right, so long story short, if you think about that GIF, it's funny, but it's actually a big problem. Okay, so I've got 2 children in school right now, right? And I have to drive 30 minutes to work. Okay, so when cellular phones aren't working, and I know this sounds crazy, and I lived before the cellular age, okay? Because cellular phones weren't mainstream until the early 2000s, to be honest with you. I didn't have my first cell phone until probably 2002. I was maybe a little behind, but I also didn't grow up in a major metro area. So we are very reliant on that technology. So what's so interesting about that meme is here I am at home, Chris and I, and we basically have the ability to communicate with the rest of the world because our Wi-Fi is reliable. She has to take the kids to school. I can't communicate with her traditionally, and then I'll get into these kind of devices. But I couldn't communicate with her traditionally. Most people aren't prepped for us. So I think it's believable that somebody's life was in jeopardy, certainly believable that, or someone even lost their life today with this outage. I don't know about you guys. My cell phone was down from about 5 a.m. to about 11 a.m. I think it was about 11 a.m. I told you guys it's back up. Okay. So if you're not by reliable Wi-Fi, which quite frankly, anytime you're traveling, you're not, there's a multitude of things that could happen, and you're without the ability to go help, let's say a parent that just fell down, right? An elderly person that fell down, whatever, you can concoct in your mind. And it makes you very vulnerable when you got kids at a school and the school can't call you, right? Because I came into work and I'm like, I don't know what this is, guys. I don't know if this thing's going to last very long. I just made sure I stocked back up with provisions, because good preppers also make sure that they're always stocked with food for a long period of time. So, you got to take I took the vulnerability of actually traveling. No idea how long the thing's going to last. It becomes more problematic the longer it lasts. In this case, it seemed like life was somewhat normal and has gotten back to normal again. From what I could tell, I haven't left this building since 10 a.m. So, well, no, wait, I went and grabbed lunch. 11:30, we'll say, okay? So it seems like the sky's not falling. The world's not falling apart yet. Okay, but it could. The solar flare thing is a real issue, and that's way outside of our control. A solar flare could wipe out the grid. Okay?
Right, and it doesn't seem like AT&T has been all that forthright with all the information that they could be giving to people. It sounds like they have been kind of quiet. If it is a weird solar flare thing, then that's the explanation. But there always seems to be, we're not getting the full picture. We're never told everything that we're supposed to be told. The media gives us scraps and pieces. We have to put it all together for ourselves. So it's just another typical event.
I can speak on that. So AT&T, as of right now, have not made any statements about the outages and what would have caused them. They on Twitter, their support has just been saying, okay, their website that is saying what's going on is actually down right now, which is kind of funny. I don't know. When I came in and I heard AT&T was down, I was not surprised, but that's because I'm elitist against AT&T. So
you did. You laughed at that.
But there hasn't been anything like this before, right? Can you think in modern history of an event like this that has gone on?
This is what Dawson pissed me off so much this morning because he was. Did you see how much of a prick he was? He was really a prick. See, that's the problem with AT&T. I go, I've been an AT&T user for a long time. Listen, Dawson didn't even know that AT&T had the exclusive contract with Apple phones when they got launched.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why a lot of guys like me, because I think it was T-Mobile before that, went over to AT&T.
I don't like Apple either.
What's that? I love Apple.
You know why I don't like Apple.
That's true. That's fair. Okay. Apple are superior products. Why would most people like it? But no problem. So, long story short, Dawson's giving me crap about AT&T and how bad their network is. I've been an AT&T user for a very long time, and I'll be honest with you, I test that network. I do. I'm an outdoorsman. I go in really obscure, crazy places. I test that network. AT&T's got a reliable, good network, and they are a sponsor of the show. So give AT&T a call at.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
After today, they need it.
They need it. Yeah, I know, right? I wonder what they're gonna do. They better give me that damn iPhone for free. The iPhone 15. I'm still using the iPhone 12, by the way.
Yeah, you're saying so. You said that you've been up like all the way to the boundary waters with AT&T, and it hasn't given you issues. When I had AT&T and I did have a Pixel phone, or not a Pixel, a Android phone, going up past the iron range, all of my service would just cut out. AT&T couldn't do anything for me, and it was so annoying. That's part of the reason why I switched. So maybe it is an Android Apple thing. Seems a little bit gross and slimy to have your network only work on Apple products, almost like a weird Apple trick to get you to buy Apple products.
Well, also Apple are superior products to whatever you're using.
That is incredibly debatable.
Well,
if you want me to write a document up on that next, I will.
Yep. Well, you go to your AI machine and write another document there, Dawson.
I had to write another one about 9/11. That one's good.
That was with Mark's show.
That was really funny. Yeah.
I just rewatched that 9/11 documentary by Michael Moore. Do you remember that thing? He was one of the first people to actually try to call the entire thing out. It was pretty interesting.
What is Brad saying there? I don't understand.
Yeah. Jake has an iPhone because he's secretly hoping for a daughter.
Brad and I are on the same team with this one.
But hold on. What does that mean? I don't get that joke.
If you'd get it if you were a Pixel user.
Yeah.
Well, help us out. Tell us what the joke. You don't get the joke. Look at this guy.
I
He's
have no
pretending like he
idea.
gets a joke. He doesn't get
I
the
have
joke.
no idea what Brad's talking about, but it's funny that he doesn't like Apple.
Yeah, exactly. No one gets the joke, Brad. It's not even like what are you even trying to say there?
Yeah.
By the way, yes, I've only been blessed with boys.
Yeah, and I'm seeing MT Anderson say, got my first cell car phone in 1988. And he also said, or was it here, 30 years ago, there were only 2 cell carriers, US West and Cellular One. US West
God, that
became
takes me
Verizon.
back.
Cellular One became AT&T. I think that's a good
that
point.
takes us
And
back.
I've never
Love
heard of
Minnesota dropped a $20 Rumble rant. Thank you guys. Tips for Dawson doing that look again into the camera, the one that he gave Jake.
What was that look?
I've given you so many looks at the camera that I'm not.
Well,
sure
you know what
which one
pissed
you're
me off
referring
is you
to.
rolled your eyes when I came in talking about this problem. So let me get back to that. AT&T goes down. They're very reliable from my experience, okay? You're making a great point, Jesse. Has this ever happened before? I have never been without reliable cellular technology in an area like this, right? Now, totally different story when I'm up in the mountains elk hunting, right? Which you just know is part of the... there's a place in Montana where I don't have cell coverage until I get up to like 9,000 feet of elevation. And then all of a sudden it's like line of sight to the tower that's off of the interstate. So you expect it there. This never happens this long a period of time. I mean, I maybe have lost a cell tower for 10 minutes before.
Yeah, that's such a hard and weird thing to look up to because there's never like documentation on AT&T's been down for 3 hours. Like news stories come out about it. And that's I can't find.
Yeah,
those.
I'm trying to see if there's anything that had happened before, and I'm not finding anything. But I am seeing police beg people to stop calling 911 during this mass outage.
That's
so,
a big one, yeah.
Something's going on there.
People were calling 911 to see if their phone worked.
No, I thought it was because they were accidentally getting directed to 911.
No,
I thought
no,
I saw that story.
Because people think that if you're like you saw the SOS thing at the beginning, and that's like call 911 or unlock your phone.
Yeah, I think a lot of us kind of understand. iPhones are the staples of teenage girls. What Brad Ganser has
Yeah.
to say. What are you even talking about?
You're right, Brad.
What are you talking about? There's no TikTok on my phone.
Do you have
so-
Taylor Swift on your phone?
No, I don't have Taylor Swift on my
Oh,
phone,
man.
and I don't have TikTok. So there you go. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't Chinese hackers. Clearly, what happens if reliable technology goes down? By the way, solar flare is going to wipe out. I mean, a certain kind of solar storm could wipe out the entire grid because it would fry every computer. Then you're in real trouble because you can't even drive most modern day vehicles. Mm-hmm. There's some people that have alternate forms of transportation that aren't relying on computers, but maybe you should be one of those people. Anyhow, here's 2 devices, and a big solar flare might go down, obviously, and they said radio technology. Baofangs, these are actually real cheap radios, working on all the ham network, and also what? What's so funny?
Yeah, MT Anderson
What
said
is so
solar
funny?
flares are racist. Is that what you're laughing at?
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? I'm just curious. Are you joking? What's the?
Yeah, and I'm
Is
looking online
Mark
here.
joking about the solar flares being racist? Is that what you're saying?
I'd imagine so.
Of course he is.
Yeah, and it looks like the leftist conspiracy theory on this is Russian nukes were the cause
Are
of the
they
cell
really
phone
saying that?
outrage. That's I'm finding all these different
Well, it's
articles
because
on
they
it.
can't go after the Chinese. That's racist.
Yep, exactly.
And
So it's gotta be
Mark
Russia.
says that solar flares are too. I'm more and more convinced by the day the reason the left has this thing on Russia is because they want the big bad enemy to be a white person, right? They want white people to be the people that we should all fear.
To be fair, Putin's not the greatest white person ever.
Who's the greatest white person ever?
I cannot think of one off the top of my head.
Why would you even say it that way then?
because we shouldn't like Putin.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The left makes him the worst guy because of who he is. You could make arguments that are very bad guy. I would say Kim Jong-un is a very bad guy. Right?
Are leftists touting that Kim Jong-un is a good guy? I have a feeling they probably don't like Kim Jong-un either.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is why do they have this infatuation with Russia? That's what I don't understand. Because you have to look at Russia and go, there's no way they are the largest threat to America. There's just no way that's true. They can barely win in Ukraine. Like, Ukraine is becoming a problem for them. So I just don't. I don't. This isn't a fully thought out view. And if you come to this show because you only want fully thought out views, then you're on the wrong show. Get out of here. You don't belong here. We're just having a conversation. It's a hang, right? We don't know. We know a lot of things, but not this. I think that's possibly why the left has this problem with Russia, because the white person's always the essence of the problems out there, right? That's what we're learning.
The oppressor.
The oppressor.
Yeah.
And so in the world of white people, well, Europe's not the problem because Europe is exactly where they want to go. They want to go to those crazy left-wing Europeans, so that can't be the problem. And otherwise, it's America, and we're learning all the time how white people in America are the problem. So the only other white part of the world is freaking Putin. So I don't know. Just a thought. Haven't fully fleshed that out, but I was talking to a buddy the other day, and he asked that question: "What's the problem with why are they so infatuated with Russia?" And I go, "I think it's because they're white." He's like,
Well,
I think you might be onto something.
The elitists obviously chose it for a reason. I still can't fully understand it myself because Hillary Clinton was the one who sold them 90% of our uranium. So when we have, her as Secretary of State selling off our uranium, which is used for nuclear weapons, I can't figure it out either, because it's almost like the deep state is in connection with Russia deep down, and that, Russia doesn't mind being seen as the bad guy. It's almost like it's all a big play, and a lot of people are just falling into the roles they're told to play.
I think that personally, I don't like Russia more than I don't like China, due to pretty much solely military size. Russia's military is just bigger than China's, and that freaks me out more than.
Did you say Russia's military is bigger than China's?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
According to 2024 military strength by globalfirepower.com, that's what it says.
What?
Power
Well,
index
is that because of nuclear weapons? Is that why?
I don't. It says
because
power
the size of the
Yeah, I
army is
figure
way
manpower.
different. China's way larger.
I would assume it's just strength, or it's power.
And then it's got to be nuclear weapons, because
Yeah.
Russia's got the largest nuclear arsenal.
That's what I would assume too. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's kind of moot, because until you start throwing those nuclear bombs out there, it's kind of just from conventional war. China's much larger.
I will study that.
Because military might is a completely different animal once you start throwing nukes, right? Like, for instance, we can get trapped in a quagmire in Iraq against we call them insurgents, kind of funny term, but unsophisticated enemy. Same thing with Vietnam, by the way, right? The Viet Cong, okay? Much more of an unsophisticated enemy against the most sophisticated military on the planet. We can get in those quagmires. Lots of reasons for that. Rules of engagement being one of them, right? So in a conventional warfare, the playing field's leveled out, or evened out. But if we would resort to nuclear bombs, the whole conversation changes, right? There's that famous saying, I think it was Einstein, it says, "I know not what the Third World War will use for weapons, but the Fourth World War will be sticks and stones."
Have you?
It's like that's a cold freaking statement.
Yeah.
there.
Have you watched Oppenheimer yet?
No, and it's on. No. Take it easy. It's now available on. Was that Peacock?
Yeah, Peacock.
Okay, and we have Peacock. I don't know why we have Peacock. God, there must be a reason Kirsten got Peacock.
The Office.
It came available, I think it was Thursday last week, and we were up ice fishing for the weekend. So it's Friday night's plan. It's Friday night's plan. I got to see it. Listen, I want to see that, Dawson. All right, where was I going with it? Oh, Baofeng radios, okay? Using frequencies. So obviously in a solar incident, this could be irrelevant, right? In that instant, blind communication in person's the way or carrier pigeon, I guess. That would be the other ways to do it. Solar flares would be a massive issue. But, the cell phone towers were down. This actually still can communicate with the home base, communicate with other people that know how to use these things on certain channels. Tons of channels to use. Also, you got sat devices. Now, you could have a cell phone so you could actually make calls. I don't have a satellite phone. Very expensive just in the network alone. This is a typical satellite device. It's a Garmin communicator, an InReach. I think they only now have the orange. They had a yellow and orange. The orange has just better mapping. I'm a big outdoorsman. So this guy goes with me in the backcountry. So it's communicating directly with satellites, and it's a text message. And by the way, it's unlimited text messages. You get 3 like just normal sayings, which is like I'm all right, or made it to camp, or I'm running late. There's like 3 things that like outdoorsmen like me use to communicate. Typical one is everything's okay, I'm at camp or something like that. And that's just a way for me to check in daily when I don't have cell tower. Okay, so it's really nice device. Obviously, in the case of hacking, Chinese hacking, both of these things work well. See, as a prepper, you always want to talk about the zombie apocalypse or massive solar flare on the network, or the whole infrastructure goes down. Those are really rare cases. Most likely not going to happen in a lifetime, okay? Or the super volcano in Yellowstone explodes, which is a really big problem, right? Mm-hmm. And it's overdue, by the way. Could happen anytime in the next 10,000 years. I don't go to bed at night really worried about that, okay? If I knew it was happening soon, I'd be very worried about it. Yeah. I would not be in Minnesota, okay? But what maybe, and once it gets Christopher Wray, got it, okay? Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's off base on this. It seems like that seems to be very logical.
Right.
Chinese hacking, okay? I don't know if this is what's going on, but these devices could be lifesavers, okay? And these are just 2 of many different types, but very common stuff for preppers. I think one of the most obvious things for people is, let's just say this is a larger technological issue, right? Let's say that all cellular towers go down. Let's say the internet goes down. That stops a lot of commerce. There are a lot of people reliant on commerce based off of the internet, internet, and I guess the cellular network. Mm-hmm. So, my concern always in those situations is there's going to be a period, and it's going to happen probably relatively quick in metro areas, where you have civil unrest and you have looting of stores. So do you have provisions at home to carry you through those moments? Because it might be I love how Tucker says, no more truth hurts. This is the truth that really hurts, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think it's better for all of us to be prepared. Patriots need to be prepared. Honest to God, we need to be prepared. Mm-hmm. I think everyone should be prepared, but let's just be honest. There's so many people that are relying on the government, and there's another one. People that are relying on the government, they're not going to get those services, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to take these things into consideration. If you need to travel, you need to talk to your loved ones. And we learned this morning that cellular networks aren't always 100% reliable, so you better have alternative forms of communication. I think Mark was talking about I got to go whip out those CB radios.
Yeah, and I'm seeing on Facebook here, Steph Albertini Miller says, definitely think it was a cyber attack. All cell phone carriers go down at the same time, ... And we also got Becky Orsch Hackenmuller.
Hi, Becky. Becky was at the event the other night.
Yep, and she says, can't blame China because they'll call in the loans, and was also pointing out that China's military is larger. And let's see here, back at Rumble, Napkin 8, many are picking up those old Motorola touch-to-talk phones for comms. And let's see. Odd one, I'm semi-retired, so a complete shutdown would actually be nice. Nice break from technology. But you're right, the savages would go wild and take advantage.
100%.
Right. People are addicted to it now. People are addicted to their cell phones, and if there were to be some major event where this wasn't, some little temporary thing for the day where we're saying what is going on, but if this were to be, even a week, I think that most people would start to lose their minds, and people wouldn't know what to do. People wouldn't know how to get around. Without the technology, people would definitely lose their minds.
Yeah, just think about how many people are relying on using mapping features on their phone, right?
Right.
I'm more concerned about the businesses and companies who have loads of data on computers and storage servers, all that stuff, and then you just can't access it anymore.
What if you can't access your cash? So much of the banking system is relying on that, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of people going to the bank.
That's why
you got to run on the bank as well.
That's a big part of the reason why I don't really worry about it happening, because one, it takes a lot of stress off of my mind, and two, if that stuff is gonna happen, if all of a sudden, I don't know, every satellite blew up, there would be more issues than just I can't go on YouTube right now and cry about it. There's bigger
problems. The entertainment and by the way, I still hold on to DVDs, so there's still entertainment that's available even in these situations, because we are relying on government. I know people that download a lot of useful YouTube videos so that in case the internet goes down, they still have those prepping videos. Smart move. I know lots of people like that.
Yeah.
But prepping and just in general, like, what about alternative currencies? Right? I think the obvious one is people knowing that they have ammunition. We're going to get into how the Democrats here in Minnesota want to ban lead ammunition, but storage of ammunition, firearms, right, for civil unrest and, basically protecting your family. I think communication is one of the big ones. Also, water, good ways to solve water, reliable drinking water. How far do I go with this thing? Do we talk about reverse osmosis systems here on air? Do we do that? Building your own well?
Yeah.
Go to line 16, Dawson. I want to pull up on our Twitter this morning because I was posting this firsthand, and you could see this is what my phone looked like, SOS, right? So I couldn't make calls. And then scroll to the bottom. This is AT&T's website telling me, all clear in your zip code. There are no outages to report.
Yeah.
Now that was really early. I don't know. Actually, didn't you look this up?
Yeah, I
when
looked
we
at
were, like, 10
at the
o'clock?
same exact page, and I looked up the same exact thing, and it said all clear, no outages. So that site's just bogus and wrong. And AT&T is bad.
I don't know, Dawson. Go back here to Action for Liberty. This was this is funny. Get the picture here of U.S. cell outage. Over 60,000 AT&T customers says they're unable to make calls with others reporting. And then I got a screenshot with my SOS on there just for legacy purposes.
Are you talking about the Twitter?
Yeah, on Twitter.
Oh.
I want you to pull this up real quick. Also, our pre-caucus event, we got a picture here. I hope a lot of you guys were able to listen to the rest of the story of Jane Moss and Lisa Hansen. Scroll down there, Dawson. This was our event at the Mermaid on, what's that, Tuesday night. Thank you to everyone that came. We actually have a training tonight here at the headquarters as well. We're doing a lot of training, teaching people how to get involved in the political system and dominate it. Good patriots, conservatives. By the way, as much as I think it's important for you to get involved in the political system, number one priority is taking care of your family and prepping, right? So don't get caught with your pants down. If there is a point I'm trying to make in this whole this whole topic today, okay? Because I don't know if we're gonna. You're right, Jess. We might never find out what the hell happened, okay? To me, it kind of reeks of hacking. And that, I'm not like a technological expert by any means, but it kind of reeks of that. Do you get that sense?
I get the impression that there's something like that going on, but like you said, I mean, I know I'm not the guy who's going to be able to find the evidence for that or prove it or anything. That's for the tech bros, and but I do think that there is some kind of shady business going on here.
And what's your thoughts, Dawson? Before we go to the next subject,
What caused it?
Yeah.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was hackers. I don't think it was a solar flare. I don't know anything about like the back end of how cellular towers work or anything like that. But since it was so widespread, but it was very like specific, I almost do think it was an update issue with like certain devices. I think that you were onto something there. I can't prove it, but that sounds more reasonable than Chinese hackers or
and there's a
the sun.
conspiracy right there. They want me to go to the iPhone 15, right?
Okay, but that conspiracy is real. That's been tested.
Well,
and
they
proven.
definitely throttle the
Yeah.
old iPhones. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, but hey, Apple products are the best for the first year that you have it.
Clearly they're good for 3 years because I still use it regularly. I
dang.
think they stopped doing that lately. That was supposedly not true.
You
but
think they
I don't know.
stopped? Oh my gosh.
Alley Cat says Patriot Food Supply. Yeah, if you want to eat like garbage.
Yeah, that's what Odd One's saying too. Saying the Patriot Food Supply gives you X number of meals and count oatmeal packets as a meal. Make your own. So yeah, I guess there's different options out there.
What that is freeze-dried meals. Why can't I talk today? I'm having trouble talking today.
You own a talk show, so I'd work on it.
It's awful. Yeah, when you run a show and you can't talk, what is going on with my brain today? I don't know. I guess my whole day's thrown off from this thing, but I was prepared. It's freeze-dried food, so it lasts. I mean, they say 25 years because it's as long as they've been able to test the technology, right? But But see, I'm a guy that eats freeze-dried a lot, okay, because I'm a big backpacker. It's like garbage compared to like, you know what the best one is? Peak Refuel. That is the best. That is the most tasty and best in terms of calories. You'll look at the price tag, you'll be like, that's too expensive. But then you look at the calories compared to like Mountain House, and it's so much better. And it's very tasty. But they don't say they last 25 years for some reason. And they only use about a half of the water that that Mountain House uses. So there must be something where they're maybe not freeze drying as much.
Yep, and I'm seeing Billy22, Dear Dawson, keep thinking that signed. Thanks, signed the the Chinese Communist Party. So obviously, Billy22 thinks that you're doing the bidding of Communist China right now, covering their tracks.
All I can say is that not having the Chinese hackers in the back of my mind frees up a lot of space for stress.
You know what actually relieves that stress is being prepared. You don't have to worry. Gregory actually has an iPhone 8 and worked fine today. So look at me, I'm not that ancient. What's Napkin 8 have to say?
Napkin 8 says event was awesome and Jake was a master MC. He had everyone cracking up.
Oh wow, you pointed that comment out, seeing that you were getting praise from it, huh?
Oh, damn it. Dawson's worked with me long enough to know. It was good meeting Napkin 8, though, by the way. Good to see you. And it's always fun because it's like, you know, you guys have these names and we don't know who you are until, except for the Patriot Carla Nelson, who was also at the event.
That was Brad Ganser.
Yeah, Brad makes it easy.
That was the first time you've seen Napkin 8?
I think so.
Wow. Cool.
Because that's what happens is people come up and they go, "Hey, I'm T-Wall or I'm Napkin 8," right? So they're like, "Oh my God."
K-Wall with the
T-Wall and K-Wall are awesome.
Yeah, the Christmas event, K-Wall and T-Wall came up to me and I think the other members of the crew and gave us some gift cards. It was really sweet of them.
I don't know if they want us to say that, but yeah, Caribou gift cards, right? Which
K-Wall
then I said,
T-Wall
Dawson doesn't drink coffee, but maybe they got protein shakes there.
No, I gave it to my girlfriend. She drinks Caribou.
Well, don't say that on air. That's regifting.
You get.
You hear that, T-Wall? Don't ever give him another gift card. He's just gonna re-gift it.
If you're gonna give me a gift
I
card,
use that gift card.
Yeah.
I buy coffee with it.
Yeah, and
you just re-gift it.
I used it. I used it to get my girlfriend to like me more. So, thank you.
Yeah, but I'm seeing Odd One in the comments saying I met Jesse at the Christmas event. It was nice to be able to meet you there too as well. Do we want to move on to this next
yes, let's move
story
on.
here? All right.
Are we moving on to Nikki Haley? Is that what you want to talk about?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. So people may not know this, but the one and only Nimrata Nikki Haley is coming to Minnesota, and she's got some rhinos lining up to endorse her. So let's go ahead and pull up that article there. It's not published on the website quite yet. We'll get to that pretty soon here. But what's going on is, the Swamp is currently refusing to support President Trump and openly advocating for Rhino, Never Trumper, anti-MAGA Nikki Haley. Rhino representatives Kristen Robinson and Senator Julia Coleman have both formally endorsed Nikki Haley, despite the fact that Republican voters have made it extremely clear Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. So these rhinos decided to stick their hand in it. Obviously, they're doing it all, right up at the last minute, the 11th hour. All of a sudden, they have these wild dreams. The only way that they have a chance is if Donald Trump is sent to prison based on bogus BS lawsuits. That's their only chance. And even then, we the people are still going to rally around President Trump. So scroll down just a little bit there, because not only is it a couple of representatives like that and former legislators Drew Christensen, Kelly Fenton, and Barb Haley, but we have the Republican Party of Minnesota, the MNGOP, out there pushing people and promoting an event for Nikki Haley. I mean, the Republican Party, last I checked, and based on the conversation I had with David Hand, he told me the Republican Party is going to treat every candidate fairly before the endorsement. Well, the Republican Party hasn't endorsed anyone in Minnesota, but here he is promoting Nikki Haley as a candidate coming to visit Minnesota. And it's so funny, they call this thing a rally. I mean, do you really think this is going to be a rally? This is going to be 20 rhinos hanging out, and maybe a couple of Democrats mixed in there. I wouldn't call that a rally. I don't think she's got any support here based on the only presidential primary poll that was done in Minnesota back a few months back, 4 or 5 months back. Trump was at 60% then. So, and Nikki Haley was only at 12. What does that tell me? I mean, it shows me that Minnesota is probably going to go 80-20, 90-10. Nikki is going to get crushed, and it's only going to be the David Hands, Kelly Fenns, Barb Haley, Drew Christensen's of the world, Julia Coleman, Kristen Robbins. They're the only people out there that support Nikki Haley. They're going to be embarrassed big time, and it shows them for the rhinos that they are, because we the people have made it extremely clear. And think, Minnesota's coming right after, it's a part of Super Tuesday, coming right after South Carolina. Nikki Haley is about to lose South Carolina, her home state, by 36 points to President Trump. What does it tell you if the people who know her best are rejecting her? That tells you everything you need to know. And also, there's been a lot of the Republicans in Minnesota who have been completely silent. That's their tactic. They don't want to, they think by staying quiet that they can fool all of us into thinking that they're actually MAGA or something. But really, the only four, all four Minnesota U.S. congressmen, they all grifted, got behind Trump when they realized it was necessary to save their political careers. But the only two people who did it on their own free will was Representative Ben Davis and Senator Nathan Weissenberg. Weissenberg doing it months before Ben Davis, too. But at least both of them on their own said, I'm looking at what's going on here. We obviously need to get behind President Trump.
I don't know if this is the time to tell you, but I'm just going to say it. So I was invited to MC the event. I'm doing it.
The Nikki Haley one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure you were their top choice. And
what? I'm a master MC. Didn't you see Napkin Nate?
Yeah, exactly. True. And let's see, Brad saying, Jesse, do you have a problem with competition? I don't have a problem with competition. What I have a problem with is party leaders tilting the scale for a rhino, especially Nikki Haley, who we know is all about starting World War III.
Never made a
There's
statement.
never been a right.
They
There's
never made a statement during all those trials, all those indictments against Trump.
And that's a point that I make in that article too, because when Trump's home was raided, MNGOP is silent. When the election fraud was, when 2020 election was stolen from Trump, MNGOP silent. When the BS lawsuits are coming at Trump, the MNGOP silent. But when Nikki Haley's coming to town, oh man, we got to let the people know. That's the MNGOP style. They don't give a rip about Trump when he needs us most, when he needs the patriots to stand up for him. What
are you going to do about this? I see the comment section. You're on a roll here. People want something. First of all, Billy's asking, does anyone know who the Trump campaign leader for Minnesota is? I think you're de facto the MAGA leader of Minnesota.
Maybe,
Jesse.
I don't think there's anyone official. I've done my best to try to reach out to the Trump campaign and, offer my humble services to him. And I'd be more than happy to be the Minnesota Trump leader, because we definitely need to fight this kind of stuff. We know exactly what the party is up to. We've known all along, it's like, who do we expect these rhinos to get behind? Obviously, Nikki. It's their last-ditch effort to try to stop Trump.
Hold on. What is going on here? I mean, I got a thought, but tell me, what is Nikki doing? And then second part of the question, because, listen, she's going to lose to South Carolina on Saturday. Mm-hmm. She's going to get crushed on Super Tuesday. There's no foreseeable path. So what is she still doing in the race? And then number two, what is Kristen Robbins, what is Julia Coleman doing getting on the sinking ship?
Mm-hmm. They must think that electorally it's going to benefit them in some
way,
because
though? It's a sinking ship.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm wondering too. But at least their logic would probably be, I can win over the suburban types, the people that don't want Trump, but they're also not happy with Biden. It's like they're thinking about these imaginary people. Most
so they're
of them
just
don't
idiots.
exist.
You're saying they're idiots. They think that that's going to translate to some votes in November?
I think that they are calculating that into their mind, but also the main reason they're doing it is because they're rhinos who support Nikki Haley. They're principled enough to say,
I know, but they're politicians, Jesse.
Right, exactly.
Politicians are making calculated decisions for politics.
Mm-hmm.
So I can accept the fact that they're dumb, okay? I can accept that, right? Mm-hmm. Politically dumb. What I can't accept is that they're just rhinos doing what rhinos do, because it doesn't make sense to me. It's a sinking ship. Mm-hmm. You just alluded to the four congressmen, the congressional delegation, grifting and going and supporting Trump, because obviously that's where the political wins are.
Right.
So they're going against the political wins here. Mm-hmm. They're going against the base.
And it's interesting.
See, I have a theory why
you
didn't answer that question. I have a theory why Nikki Haley's still doing it, and it's not the Black Swan event.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a theory? Do you know why, or do you want to hear what
I mean,
have to
I say the black swan event. I think she's
That's what it
waiting for
is?
something, right?
So maybe Coleman and Robbins are waiting for that black swan event too, and then they're on the team. By the way, that doesn't give the race to Nikki Haley. That's the dumb thing about this. Is like Nikki Haley will still have a live infrastructure, but you don't think DeSantis can't reignite an infrastructure pretty quick, or Ramaswamy, right?
Right.
Or Trump's infrastructure will go to someone else.
I don't know if Ron really has all that much left. You know, it's interesting. He was actually he had kind of a campaign call with a bunch of his supporters that never got the chance to vote for him because he dropped out so quick. But Ron DeSantis, he held this little Zoom town hall where he was talking with all these people. I happen to know someone who was on the Zoom call with Ron, and it sounds like Ron was kind of going unhinged. He was still upset about Trump. He said, I'm still leaving the door open to 2028. And, he said, this is how delusional Ron DeSantis is. He said, the reason that he lost was because of the indictments against Trump and people kept rallying behind him. That was part of it. But it was
very much so.
But the main reason Ron DeSantis lost was because of Ron DeSantis. It was because of his personality. It was because of the way he conducted himself. It was because of the way he campaigned. It was because of his campaign team. And it was based on the way that he handled the whole situation, because when those indictments were coming out first, he was trying to distance himself from Trump. He didn't realize that the correct political move was to embrace Trump and say that this is BS.
But you can't.
He was too late to the party.
That's bullshit, because you can't embrace Trump because you're running against him.
You have to.
See, I would make the argument Trump is the reason he's out. You couldn't beat Trump. It's just too difficult to beat him. And those indictments were a big reason. People, even guys like me that aren't traditionally pro-Trump, I shouldn't say not pro-Trump. I'm not a big Trump guy, right? Because I'm going to go through a lot of arguments I got against Trump. I'm also not an anti-Trump, and I'm certainly not guys suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. I'm in that big category.
You're not pro-Nikki.
Definitely not. I don't know. I wouldn't even vote for her.
Yeah.
Like, I could rationalize voting for Trump. I did vote for Trump in 2020, by the way. So I'm just in that big class of people that goes, I think our country can do better. I think we can do better than a rematch of Biden and Trump. And there's a lot to offer, and it ends up, you see what's going on with Trump, and you're like, wait a second, these guys, the wrong people don't want this guy, and they're willing to take it to this length. And you kind of go, should I be re-looking at that? There's something I'm missing here, right? So, and by the way, the other thing about Trump is, as much as I'm not attached to the mainstream lying corporate media, it still sometimes penetrates to even me, where I start believing some of this bullshit about him, and I'm like, I don't even know who Trump is, because his image has been so tarnished and molded in a certain way by these lying sacks of shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know people that know Trump personally, okay? So that would be the best thing, is if I did. But enough people that you see in positions where I think they're telling the truth, talk about the kind of guy Trump is, and you're like, man, that is a different guy than we're led to believe. Anyhow, didn't mean to rant on that too long. My theory on Nikki Haley is she is benefiting from an infrastructure of rhino establishment types, anti-Trump, where she's just setting herself out to be their solid dog in the next race. And that's why she's staying in. Because if you take that part away, it makes no sense. She's just going to get embarrassed at this point, right? It'd be really fun to go to this event.
The thing is, though, I do expect Nikki, when she drops out, she is going to endorse Trump. It's going to be one of those awkward days, but I mean,
that's going to happen, though.
She definitely is.
You want a beer bet on that one?
Sure, because I honestly think, it's like, are we expecting Nikki Haley to have a principled stand? Of course not. She's going to look at her political future and say, I got to get behind Trump if I want to have a chance in 2028.
Okay,
I agree with you that she could be.
That's where we could test my theory,
right?
Okay? Because if she does that, then my theory's flawed, right? And then you'll get a beer on me, right? We have another beer bet. I need to start tracking this. I don't remember.
I can't remember what it was, but I know we got something else.
I got a buddy that bet me 50.
Oh, it was whether Trump endorses Lindsey Graham in 2026. So that one's a ways out.
I got a buddy that bet me like 4 years ago, $50, or no, it was a good bottle of whiskey or $50, something like that. That Ted Cruz would be the GOP nominee in 2024. And then he's like, dude, I lost this bet. She Venmoed me the money like
Yeah.
2 years ago, and I returned it to him. I'm like, nope. Because you still have an out. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
And then when it doesn't happen, then I'm going to take that money and I'm gonna have so much fun. But my theory would be flawed then if she does that, because I think she is catering to a base of people, and this is not traditional Republicans, but there are those in there too. But a certain sect of wealthy elites, and she's doing the right things. They want her in there. She has no path to success. She's going to alienate part of the base. I'm actually curious. Maybe we should bring cameras to this event. How many people even show up to this damn event on Monday? Because that was the other thing we said on the show is it's going to get embarrassing for Nikki when she can't turn out crowds. So that's kind of my thinking. And then I think it maybe follows suit with the Kristen Robbins and the Julia Colemans. And Julia Coleman, you can't ignore the fact that her husband works for AFP, which has endorsed Nikki Haley.
Right.
So they're doing the same thing. They're making a calculation that if I appeal to this base of, elitists, good things will happen to me in my political future. They might be making a really bad calculation because guys like you, speaking the MAGA, speaking the things that a lot of people in the MAGA world are thinking, that these guys are traitors. What does Brad have to say?
Yeah, Brad says, Jake, I think you were on the right track. Plus, she probably wants to get back on the Lockheed board of directors, which, I kind of see that too. I mean,
Wasn't she
Nikki,
Boeing? I thought she was on
right, Boeing. Right? Oh, yeah, that's right. But, I think that Nikki Haley, she definitely is going to choose that corporate route more than the media route. I mean, I don't see the media hiring her. I'm sure they would. But I think Nikki Haley is going to go her own way and just try to make as much money as she can before 2028. But she said all along that, we have to defeat Joe Biden. I think, even though it's going to be embarrassing for her, she is going to have a turnaround with Trump. Trump is going to quit insulting her. And, we'll just have to move on and take on Joe Biden. I'm also seeing...
If he stops insulting her, I'm just going to lose my...
He did
it's
it
a big
with
loss.
DeSantis
The entertainment
too.
value
Right.
is gone. That just sucks.
I mean, the DeSantis attacks were funny too. I know he's put them to rest that it's over, which, that's all it takes for Trump. If you just drop out, endorse him, he'll quit the attacks. But let's see, I'm also seeing new 2727 rumor is Julia Coleman wants to run for governor. That's not a rumor that I have heard.
The rumor is that Tom Emmer wants to run for governor, and Julia Coleman's going to try to backfill CD6. That's the rumor I've heard.
Interesting. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. We'll see what ends up coming of that next governor race. And let's see. Tucker also said, he said he wouldn't want to be Trump's VP, that being DeSantis. I had also heard that too, which, I mean, give me a break. DeSantis was never an option. Trump might say in a town hall, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about Ron. He's not thinking about Ron. I mean, why would he ever take someone who he doesn't trust? Which, of course, he can't trust Ron. That's the bottom line.
I don't know, because he couldn't trust Mike Pence.
At the time, he could. At the time, 2016, he could. Regardless of what we think of Pence now, he was at the time a
Trump,
loyal guy.
I would say Trump probably has pretty good character judgment when it comes to business. I would imagine so. I couldn't speak to that, not knowing the people there, but he's got very bad judgment when it comes to politics.
Yeah,
I mean, he appointed Mitch McConnell's wife to transportation. I mean, he just did all the bad. Same thing with the Fed. Same thing with the U.S. Treasury. I mean, the Defense Department, there was some outside. I mean, Chris Miller, that's an interesting appointment. And that was actually never confirmed by the Senate. So that was the acting Secretary of Defense at the end of his tenure.
Right.
Even Mad Dog was, I don't know if that was bold, because Mad Dog was pretty popular.
Well liked, and and
then turns out Mad Dog's got a problem.
Right.
Yeah, he's very much like a lot of these other generals that just want more war, perpetual war. We're not going to get into that today, Dawson, but you and I can debate it out some point. Should we be the policeman of the world?
Yeah, sorry, I'm really nuancing my views on Putin and stuff like that right now. Going nuts with knowledge.
Okay. Pull up this article on truthhurtsnews.com, Dawson. Lead ammo being banned to these left-wing Democrats. One of them being Kelly Morrison, Dr. Kelly Morrison, who's running for CD3. She is very likely to be the next congresswoman from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think she's the odd-on favorite in the Democrats, and this
Right.
seat leans more Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then
Unless Brad Kohler has something to say about it, and we just had Brad on the show
There you go.
last week, so
sure Brad's
we'll
got something to
see.
say about it.
Yeah,
Is there enough
absolutely.
that he can do about it? That's a more Democrat-leaning district, unfortunately. Could be won by a Republican. I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on. I think my brain's not working accurately. So Kelly Morrison so she's one of the authors on this bill. What it does is it bans the use of lead ammunition, lead being very popular among sportsmen, both in the field but also when it comes to target practicing. This radical bill establishes a government-run ammunition buyback program that backers want to convince their colleagues to fund. Because, guys like me that might, I don't have any lead ammunition anymore because, I lost all that in a boating accident, but would be in for hundreds of dollars otherwise. So the government would buy that back, apparently.
Yeah.
Buyback program is a terrible idea. To make matters worse, the bill prohibits the use
And what
of
are they
lead-
going to do with it? Let's say they do buy it back. What are they going to do with all this environmentally unfriendly bullets? What are
Store it
they
in
thinking?
a cave somewhere with all the nuclear waste?
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
going to
know.
give it to Ukraine.
Damn
They'll
it,
make
that's
something of
probably
it.
what they'll do.
Probably.
Yeah, how much 5.56 are they going to buy, right?
Yeah.
All right. I see Tucker's talking about Tad Jude is running in CD3.
Yeah. There's a
So
bunch
Tad
of
Jude's
different.
running for another thing? How
Yeah.
many times is that guy going to run? I don't know anything about the guy.
Yeah, he ran
Is
for
he-
Attorney General, then
Jesse,
he ran
is he
for.
any interest? Is there any interest in Tad Jude? I mean, what do we know about this guy? He runs for everything. He literally. What's he going to do?
I
Dog
think
catcher next?
he kind of is a social insider within the GOP. I've interacted with him and his son before during previous campaigns. He's been friendly enough to deal with and on the issues enough. But he was a judge. He obviously looks at things through a lawyer's eyes on a lot of
Yuck.
things. But he ran for Attorney General, then he ran for Hennepin County Prosecutor. Now he's running for CD3. There's a bunch of different Republicans. I don't know enough about each one of them individually to say that this is the person who I'm behind. I liked getting to meet Brad Kohler. He seemed like a good guy. There might be other good candidates as well. I don't live in CD3, so it's not a district that I'm obsessed with looking into.
To make matters worse, the bill prohibits the use of lead ammunition on gun ranges in the state. However, according to the bill, it exempts peace officers, other government officials, or employees or their agents. I love the exemption for government. Lead ammunition is commonly used for target shooting and hunting. There's been a long-term ban on the use of lead ammunition for waterfowl hunting. Obviously, we know about this. You got to use steel shot for waterfowl. And there's actually debate on that. There really is. And I don't know. I haven't done the full research, but it does seem a little goofy that your BBs ends up on the bottom of the pond or the lake, and then a duck consumes it and dies. I think that it's one of those overreactions that happens
Yeah.
all the time. By the way,
I don't know. You think ducks are trying to get fish, not
yeah, well, they
swimming
do
to the
scrape
bottom.
off snails and things like that at the bottom.
Sure.
So, I understand that, but I don't know. I think it seems like maybe it happens to one or two, but I don't think it's a massive thing. By the way, the same bill wants to get rid of lead sinkers, which
And
is
that is
fascinating.
nuts.
That is nuts.
That's
Because what's the issue? We've been using lead sinkers forever. We were talking about this in the show prep today, and I don't think they do this too often. How much do you buy lead sinkers these days? The little slip sinkers.
oh, they're so cheap.
Well, they are, but you buy a pack of 100 and they last for a decade.
Yeah, right.
The only reason I've bought them recently is, you get to a certain age and you don't do much bobber fishing, And up here, I guess some river fishermen use sinkers, but I'm using bigger ones. But a little slip sinker, is that a slip sinker? Can't even remember the name of it. But the ones with they look like a Pac-Man, but they have the tail. And I don't see the tail
Yeah.
as much anymore. Maybe they still sell it. But we used to always use our mouth to pry that back open off the
Yeah,
line.
right.
So you're putting that lead in it. Now, I don't know. Am I dying from lead poisoning? I don't know.
I know
Is
that's
it
how I've done
harmless?
it every single time. So,
Right.
it's one of those things, it's a temporary, quick little exposure. I mean, I'm not saying people should be sucking on lead or anything, but, it's one of those things that it's not that big of a deal. And, unless you got the most hypersensitive body in the world, then you're not going to have any kind of weird reaction to it. It's a normal thing. So,
But if this was such a big issue, where are all the dead fish and all the big problems?
Right.
It's got to be a big conspiracy.
I know.
if
I've
it's
never
that
seen.
bad.
I've never seen it be an issue for anything in my entire life. And all this is going to do is give Karens and busybodies all these loopholes to sit there and bother people who are just trying to enjoy themselves fishing. And then, hey, is that lead on your rod? I mean, who gives a rip? I mean, it's just going to give government officials and busybodies more things to do, more things to ticket, more things to try to infringe on people's rights and try and stop people from, a simple activity like fishing. That's these people hate freedom. It's not about the environment. If it was about the environment, maybe we shouldn't have bombed the Nord Stream pipeline. But that's the thing. It's not about the environment for these people. They're behind, and that's also another thing. If you're really about the environment, well, maybe we should be trying to end the war in Ukraine. Maybe we should be trying to end the war in Gaza. Because what is the biggest pollutant? Human-caused pollution of CO2? Military equipment.
I never thought of that, Jesse. Is this ban on fossil fuels going to also apply to our military during wartime?
Of course not. Yeah, I mean...
Because no, of course, it's definitely not. We'll lose all the wars if we're relying on wind and solar energy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course we're going to use petroleum.
Right.
That's what fuels our tanks. Or
Yeah.
are we so dumb that we're just going to try to have a bunch of electric cars?
Yeah.
And then we're going to
electric
get the
tanks,
energy
give
for
me
that.
A break. Exactly.
I never thought of that. It's true. That's how we turn the left anti-war. Dude, we should start that.
Oh, yeah.
The
Save
wars,
the planet and the wars.
Wars are
Ooh.
the biggest damage, or the biggest cause of climate change. And then we just make, and honestly, we don't even need to do much research. Literally, because I've been in the military. The base is run by diesel generators. The tanks, the trucks, the jets, the freaking helicopters, everything is petroleum based. And it's ruining the damn planet as they heat up the planet, and the polar bears have to move north. I know which direction I'm talking about. See, something wrong with the brain today. It must be all that lead, right, Brad Cancer?
Maybe.
So anyhow, that's it. That's how we do it. We end the wars by tying it to climate change. Now, the left, they have their priorities. Because we need to fight climate change. But the bigger threat is Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Because he's white.
I know,
So there you go.
that's
That's more important. We can temporarily let the temperatures rise. We can't tell you how much they're going to rise because
Right.
we
And,
don't have that
remember
science.
the talking point for the Democrats is always, we have 10 years before irreversible damage. And it's always moving. They always say 10 more years, 10 more years, 10 more years. And, but that's the thing. Apparently, if we have 10 years left to live, what are we going to spend our time doing? We're going to shorten the amount of time we can live just so we can fight Putin. I mean, it shows these people don't even believe what they're... They don't even believe what they're spouting.
Have you ever seen that South Park episode? This is like 15 years ago, and it's after The Day After Tomorrow came out. And so the whole premise was we're causing such damage to our planet that Earth's going to end, and it's going to happen 2 days before the day after tomorrow.
Yep.
And then they're like, wait a second, that's today. Ah!
Yeah.
There's another good at South Park when the internet goes out. That's a good episode right there. And how they fix it at the end. Big Linksys router. It's hilarious. They just unplug it, count to 10, and plug it back in. Where was I going with this thing? I think we're onto something. Honestly, Jesse, we're onto something.
Yeah.
That's how we don't need to fix climate change. That's a big hoax. But we need to fix these wars, which really are damaging. It's really here we're saving lives because people don't get bombed, right?
Yep. Save
Useless
the planet
wars.
and the wars. I'm for it.
All right, Dawson can tell you how long before the oceans rise and how much. He has a report. That's right, odd one. Great point. No, Tucker, that's not what I meant. The Randy Marsh part. Let's keep this thing PG rated, by the way. Was a funny part of that episode. But I was more alluding to how they solved the problem in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are we going from here? Are we done with lead ammunition? I'm
think
pissed
so.
off about that, but I feel like I'm...
Oh, I had a question.
Oh, yeah,
about
you had
that.
something. That's what I was going to do.
I can't. I just didn't catch what Jesse said. You said something about it's natural. Was a line that you said. What did you say
I
before
said,
that?
oh, I don't know. I said Are you talking about the climate change stuff where I said
No.
that?
This was with lead. I think it had to do with the sinkers and fishing.
Oh, I think I said people naturally bite down on it or something like that. And I've never heard of any kind of problem. I can't remember specifically what I said.
Okay.
If you're thinking of that.
don't eat lead. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah.
Listen, kids, don't eat lead.
Don't eat lead.
That's bad for
That's a
you.
good message.
Yeah, I mean, who
But
can be
what's the
against that?
science
But you know,
behind
but
this
that's the
lead?
thing. We don't need the government to be causing all these different
Right.
things, because we could always find a new thing to regulate. We can always find a new thing about safety. We can always find something to give the government more power over we the people, and that's why we got to have almost a blanket refusal to almost all of it.
Should the government? I haven't asked
No,
this yet.
they
should
shouldn't.
the government
No, they shouldn't.
be able to increase taxes on cigarettes to
No.
try to get people off of them because it's unhealthy?
You think you're gonna catch us saying increase taxes on
Yeah.
anything? I think taxes are
So
theft.
should the state government be able to do
No,
that?
taxes are theft. I don't agree with taxes at all, one bit. The only reason I pay them is I don't want to go to jail.
Okay.
Like, I die a little
good
inside paying taxes. And I can't figure out what tax is the worst. Obviously, I think sales tax is probably the best, although
Maybe.
it's a pain in the ass for people that sell items, especially in Minnesota, which is like, is this item taxed? I don't know. Read the book. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, and you
It's
know,
it's so convoluted. But I'm going to say it's either income tax because that's involuntary servitude, because you have to provide your labor to earn income to live, and then they think they get a claim to your income. Or is it property tax where you could just say, listen, I opt out of the system. I have 50 acres. I'm going to live and homestead this, but you still have to pay the government property taxes.
Yeah, but I'm seeing Tucker says hell no, Dawson, and Odd One said sin taxes are a theft, and I agree with that. And the reason also to make about sin taxes, which sin taxes are the like you said for cigarettes and whatnot. You know, it's almost like a moral tax, and I don't think that the government has the moral authority to even suggest anything. I mean, anybody with a brain can say, "Oh, smoking's probably going to cause lung cancer if you use it long enough." So anybody with a reasonable brain can tell you that for themselves. We don't need the government trying to profit off of, and that's what it is. The government is giving themselves extra cash for people committing, moral problems like smoking a cigarette or something, for things that are damaging. The government actually benefits even more from it with these types of taxes. So, of course, I'm against it.
Instead of
I actually would wish we go back to the way we collected revenue at the start of this country, and it's all voluntary lottery system, because we still have a state lottery. If you want to gamble, go ahead. It's your choice.
Yeah.
does a state government have the right to ban cigarettes?
No,
No.
Why?
consenting adults can do what they want, even if it's harmful themselves.
Okay.
Especially, who's the government to talk? They push products all
where's
the
it-
time that hurt you or kill you. Like, I don't know, the COVID jab.
Yeah.
Oh, we're off YouTube.
The rights but the rights and purpose of government is to protect freedom for the citizens, defend it in a proper jurisdiction, and defend the country from
invasion.
foreign and even not just foreign, but even homegrown terrorists and attacks and things like that.
Be careful on that one there,
right.
Jesse.
That one's a gray area, but
That's a gray
that's
area.
essentially the purpose and utilization of government. They have absolutely no reason or purpose to be doing what you're just suggesting here.
So, okay, then I've got one last one. I don't know exactly where it is right now, but asbestos was like something that you would construct with a lot back in the day. I've
Yep.
had to work in schools that have like asbestos. Let me rant for just a quick second.
Go ahead.
My last job, I did a lot of construction stuff when it came. I was a low voltage technician, basically. And we went to a school once. It was really old, and we had to climb around in like this furnace basement type thing, where it was just like giant pipes going around everywhere, and we had to be climbing up and around and all around this stuff, leading wires. And then I got out of it, and I was like, man, that sucked. Like, that was hot and stuff. And then the owner of the school was like, what were you doing in there? I was like, oh, my boss told me to just go in there and do this wire. And he's like, all of those pipes are lined with like pure asbestos, and you have no safety gear on. And I was like, awesome. That's so cool. Okay,
Watch
but
Brad
anyway.
Ganser right now. That explains so much that's wrong with Dawson.
So my question is, should the government be allowed to ban asbestos in construction?
No, but if your employer puts you in a position where it harms you, he's liable for that.
Well, but say a building is built with asbestos, which is dangerous to people, that's been proven. Is it?
Yeah, I mean,
even if it's cheaper
there
for the
is
business to
there's
use.
civil issues here, or actually even criminal too. If you put someone in danger, yes, 100%. I just think you're talking about the regulation standpoint.
So does it make, is the
I mean,
government
You
allowed to
can't
say-
harm
almost like
another individual.
Right. It's almost a small issue because, I mean, I can't imagine any new projects are using asbestos. And that's just also because, obvious you don't want to use it. It's going to cause harm and problems. But, I mean, that's such a small peanuts regulation that it would almost be irrelevant just because I think that's how things are already being built.
Yeah, it's like
you just
CEPA
don't want
laws.
to. You just don't want to get so in the way of builders and whatnot, so that you don't want to stifle people, and you don't want to allow businesses to be stuck in a certain spot and not able to afford different supplies and everything. It's just a slippery slope. So once you start getting down those business regulations, you just don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole.
It's like CEPA laws, like things that are common sense people adapt because they, have this thing where they don't want to die. And get hurt. And honestly, you can't harm another individual knowingly doing that, right? Actually, there's even sometimes not knowingly negligence, right? That's
doing what? Putting on a seatbelt?
Sorry, I was going back to asbestos or any other case. You can't harm another individual. See, that's like the non-aggression principle libertarians believe is that you can't. Your liberty ends when you aggress upon a different person.
Oddwin
Where
makes
there's- oh, go ahead.
a
Sorry.
great point here. Says, well, the government approved asbestos first, then they prohibited it. They don't get it right either. So I think that's a good point
That's a
too.
great
That
point.
the government has led us the wrong way multiple times before. So we can't take their word as the golden truth.
I would, when it comes to asbestos specifically, that was a long time ago that they were like, yeah, we can allow this. It's fire retardant. It's good at this stuff. But then studies started coming out and saying, oh, this stuff literally kills you. And so they were like, okay, we learned that.
There's
gonna
other
limit it.
times where the government approves products and they find out that it starts killing them and they have no problem. In fact, they keep telling you to get more boosters of it.
Yeah.
Like which one?
The COVID shot.
We don't align on
Not only that, they bought. What do you mean we don't lie? Do you think the COVID shot has killed people? There's like a mountain of evidence on there.
And there's definitely
do
vaccine
you
injuries.
not believe that people have died from the COVID shot?
I'm sure some people have, yeah.
There's speculation why that is. So it's 100% true. Okay, certainly people have been injured. We've had an injured person on this damn program, but it could be certain what do they call those things? Batches. Batches isn't the right term. Okay, but I'm gonna use batches because that's
Doses.
what
What were you thinking?
Yeah, no, it's the batches. Like it's certain batches that were bad. Okay, and that could also be a storage issue. Another one was when they inject the shot into you, and now I'm forgetting the name of it, but they're supposed to like pull back on the needle, right? Generally, so you're not in the vein. Well, for some reason they didn't do that with COVID. They were actually advising not to do that. I can't think of the name right now. I'm not in the medical industry, so bear with me here. But when you pull back, so if you were to inject the needle and it hit a vein, which means it's going through your bloodstream, pulling back, and if it brought in a bunch of blood, suggests that you hit the vein. So is it plunging? Is that what it is? Anyhow, so back plunge. I think that's the name of it. So that's what. So they said not to do that with the COVID vaccine. So a lot of people probably had it injected. Not a lot of people, but a certain percentage, when they were getting administered a shot, had that vaccine spread throughout the whole body. By the way, I shouldn't even be calling it a vaccine. It's not a vaccine. They changed the definition of vaccine to try to make it fit. It's not a vaccine.
So is
right?
it a vaccine by definition?
The vaccine means that you actually can't. It makes you immune to it. See, that was another thing. They lied about the immunity of it, and it wasn't even tested. So they initially said that. I mean, this is from Biden's own mouth. You can't get COVID if you get the shot.
Yeah.
Again, I don't give a flying fuck what a politician has to say about it. Which we
they
should
were the
agree
ones
on.
who were proving it.
So Fauci danced around
Yeah.
that, which, by the way, he's a politician. Let's be honest.
No,
He's
and
a
it
bureaucrat.
obviously matters if the president of the United States is lying about the shot and telling you you're going to get immunity from it, and then all these people are so hopeful, thinking okay, I'm going to get it so that I'm immune, I'm doing the right thing, and then you come to find out, no, you can still catch it.
Remember, we've looked and tried to find any time Biden had said this makes you immune.
No,
and we
dude,
couldn't find anything.
maybe you can't find it, but I mean,
We were in the boardroom together looking, and we couldn't find
No,
one.
I don't know what you're talking about because I mean I've seen the video for myself.
Yeah.
I mean you can find the video if
You're thinking of
do some digging. Maybe something else.
No, you're thinking of Fauci.
Oh,
And,
the
we've
doctor?
We've
Yeah.
dove into that. Fauci tiptoed around it. He was
So he said the right
He's
thing?
a clever guy.
He said, also odd one, I did already get the vaccine. I got it when the first rounds of
You got Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah,
You
that
got the
one.
DNA one, not the
I got that one.
mRNA.
and I'm healthy as a horse.
Well, it's probably because you got the J&J. But not everyone that got the mRNA are in bad shape, although some people would argue.
Yeah, you
But
know,
are
I
you
just saw a
denying
funny.
right now-
I saw a funny tweet. Lord Sugar, I don't know if you know who he is. He's basically like one of the Trumps of the UK. He used to run the Apprentice UK. But I just saw a tweet by him where he says, "I just caught COVID and I took 6 shots of Pfizer." You know, and it's like that's what you get, man. You're falling for all this stupidity. You know, it's like no wonder. You know, and you know I could tell he was finally waking up a little bit. Like, you know, what was the point of all those shots? I still feel sick as a dog. So. You know, some people are slowly waking up to it.
All right, I got to ask you a question, though. Are you saying right now no one's died from the COVID vaccines?
No,
Sorry, the COVID
that's
shots?
not what I said either.
I'm asking you. So people have died from the COVID shots?
Some people have, I'm sure.
Some people have. Okay. Do you think it's a decent size amount of people, though?
How am I supposed to know?
No, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to know? They very much underreport that data. But you can at least admit that people have died from getting that vaccine.
I bet that people have died from getting flu vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. For any vaccine, any shot, or anything, people are going to have negative, bad reactions, and that's why it's not useful or helpful to mandate it on a general
people-
If
public.
we go back to the point you were making, Dawson, the
Wait, so hold on.
government
Jesse
told
just said
people to
that
get a
should-
vaccine and it killed them.
Jesse just said that all vaccines are bad.
No, I said that all vaccines cause problems for someone. Every single body
Yeah,
is
so-
different. Every
so-
body reacts to different things.
Right.
So the polio vaccine might be great for you. It might hurt me.
So then
All
what's
kinds
the
of things like
difference-
that.
What's the difference with a COVID vaccine?
I'm saying
Because
it's
the
the
COVID
exact.
vaccine doesn't do anything.
Yeah, first the COVID vaccine doesn't give you immunity. It doesn't give you, you know, any kind of anything to prevent you from catching COVID again.
I don't even buy their bullshit that it reduces hospitalization. That data wasn't really solid either.
Mm-hmm.
There was maybe some, and this could be debatable, some efficacy to the vaccines early on and hospitalizations, but that data seems very questionable as well. It does not stop hospitalizations. That became very apparent to everybody. It does not give you immunity. That's clear to everybody. It doesn't stop or slow the spread, which was also sold to us. It wasn't even tested for that initially. It actually has many adverse effects. Now, why that happens, that's left up to speculation at this point, because you know there's no appetite for studying that. You understand that, right? There's no appetite by government or the institutions that are funded by pharmaceutical companies to study that. But it's 100% true.
I
And
wanna say
I gave
that
two good
it's-
reasons why it could be true.
I want to say that it's interesting how so many people that are vaccine injured end up being anti-vaxxers or not enjoying the vaccine in the first place, or are Republicans.
Wait, say that again. You're saying people that gets injured, you're shocked that they are skeptical of vaccines after? What are you saying?
Typically, most of the stories that I have seen, and I work here, and believe it or not, we don't have a lot of lefties running around. They tend up being right-leaning, right? And they don't like COVID mandates, stuff like that, but they get it, and then they get vaccine injured, that kind of thing.
No, I mean, political persuasion has nothing to do about whether or not someone gets injured from the COVID
I think
vaccine.
that it can. I think that people can say, I got the vaccine and then I got sick the next day. I got vaccine injured. That's what a vaccine does. It gives you the virus and then you
right,
get over it.
but I wouldn't.
That's
That's not a vaccine injury.
No. That's what traditional vaccines do. The mRNA did not give you the virus, not at all. See, that's my point. Is they changed the definition.
I'll look it up.
No, you go ahead and look it up. That's not mRNA technology.
Mm-hmm.
They manipulate a spike protein, which was common with COVID. That's what the I don't know why I can't say it, mRNA technology did.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a dormant or dead virus, which is what generally is the case.
Mm-hmm.
So it took DNA from the virus and
No,
then,
it manipulated a spike protein. It resembles.
Do you even know what that is?
Yes. Well, what is a spike protein? I don't know how to explain
Right.
that, but obviously we know what a protein is, right? A protein molecule.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it was doing, is manipulating the virus. This is a very
I
new
think-
technology.
I think that it's not
And by the
something we
way,
can-
the new technology wasn't tested at all in any realm in humans. And the big conspiracy is the government needed to needed emergency authorization to usher in these mRNA. God, I keep wanting to say vaccines, but they're not vaccines.
Right, that they
approved. Then you're giving up the argument to them.
Remember, they approved it days after the election too. You know,
Right.
so it was all political.
And that was
it was
Trump.
all
Yeah.
right.
Trump.
Well, you know,
Trump.
that's the thing. It wasn't necessarily Trump. Trump was just trying to get this thing over with, get something done. And, you know, the elitist scientists behind it all, they were the ones who say, okay, let's see. Okay, he lost the election. Boom, we're good to go. We're ready to set this thing up.
This is the argument against Trump is he got duped by the medical bureaucracy once. Going to get duped again.
That's actually a point that I think that Trump doesn't have much fault in. Like, he got duped by scientists who study this stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry. We have to take this interruption. You have to read the Rumble rant, Jesse.
Oh yeah, let's see here. I switched over to Facebook there. Let's see here. Brad Ganser, $10 Rumble rant. Operation Warp Speed. Trump should have to have some complicity in the vaccine injuries. I mean, you know, that's the thing. If Trump was some kind of expert, you know, but let's remember, it was the FDA that was the one that approved of the COVID vaccine.
Jesse, I'm gonna push back on you there for a second. I'm sorry, we're gonna go into extra hours here, overtime. This is a Super Bowl, but you would also accuse Biden. Biden's even less cognizant than
Here's the thing.
Donald Trump.
Trump never mandated, and Trump was never going to mandate.
I know,
it.
but that wasn't the argument you just made.
We live in different universes here, because if the reality was that Trump was president throughout this entire time, you know, the 2020 election wasn't stolen. Let's imagine a scenario where he's the president while the vaccine distribution is underway. I mean, first of all, the majority of liberals wouldn't even be really willing and able to get it right away. So there would have been a whole different type of narrative. And then on top of that,
interesting,
you know,
right?
I think if he had won, they would have held back the vaccine even longer. So, you know, maybe they were going to do some more studies on it.
See, would they though? Because okay, I'm not in the camp of this as a massive conspiracy to depopulate the world. Okay, but if that's the case, who cares if Trump's in charge? We want to carry on our mission. I think it was more profit chasing by the big pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
And it might be long-term profits, because if we can get this mRNA technology through now, all the potentiality of that in the future is massive, massive.
Right. Okay, but
profits,
let's imagine
trillions
you're
of dollars.
president. Okay, if you're president, and you know, before this whole thing, before COVID,
Oh, hold on.
I'd never heard of mRNA technology
Dawson,
before.
Can you let Ben in? We're going over, and I got a 2:30. Just let him in. He can come see the operation. All right. So sorry, you were saying. I'm sorry. The camera's gonna be stuck on me.
Yeah.
I totally realized we are a 3-man show today, and I got somebody at the front door, so we're just gonna let him come into the control room. No, let him in the control room. Let him in the control room. You can come in here if you like. Ben, we're still on air, so.
Go sit down.
Nah, he's shy. Ben, we're still on air. We're just wrapping up here. So you get to watch from the control room. Isn't that great? There you go. If you don't want to be on camera, stick away from Dawson though. Do you want to be on camera? Do you mind?
No thanks.
You know, I knew he was gonna say that. He doesn't want to be. It's incognito. We'll wrap up here. What were you saying?
Brad Ganser said Kamala initially refused to consider the vaccine because it was pushed through by
True
Trump.
story.
So, you know, that's the thing. It would have been a whole different situation if Trump was still the president during all that time. You know, and especially when he wasn't trying to mandate it ever. That was never his intention. I can't blame him. And if you were the president at the time, before we had learned anything about mRNA shots or anything like that, before any of that was, you know, common public knowledge, as a president, you would be saying, absolutely, let's develop a vaccine that's going to provide immunity. That was the impression that Trump was under. That was the things that he was pushing them to do. Of course, we want a president who's saying, you know, forget the red tape. We're going to get this thing through. We're going to create a great vaccine. You know, that was Trump's goal. And I don't blame him for what the elitist scientists did. You know, of course, it would have been better if these COVID shots were never brought into the world, and it would have been better if, you know, they had been developed so that immunity is actually created when you take the vaccine or when you take the shot. But unfortunately, we're in the situation where we are now, and I just can't find it in my heart to blame President Trump for that.
Well, we got to end it there. That was good. I can't believe we got on that topic, and how we got there was interesting. And this is probably our biggest contention here on set, because Mr. MAGA Jesse, Trump's always playing 4D chess. This is my biggest issue against Trump, by the way, probably the biggest issue against Trump. That and all the deficit spending. Anyhow, that's not the point of the show. Be ready for the next outage. Have your communication devices, alternate communication devices, food storage, water storage, all that kind of stuff. Be prepared, right? That's why I was so excited to talk about this show. and the AT&T outage, because maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's Chinese hackers. It doesn't look like a solar flare, but the next incident could be much worse. You better be prepared. Thank you to our Rumble Ranters, everyone that liked and subscribed to this show. We'll be back on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. That's Caucus Day. Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Take care. God bless you.